Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV, and finally we're here with Ray. We've got together. Ray's back in Manchester. We thought what we'd do is we'd do a Skype call to each other about yesterday's games and some questions about upcoming games and things. So Ray, it's great to see you again. How was Christmas?
Christmas I spent I think 10 or 12 days in France working, making the bubbles. I was working over there, and then I drove back on Christmas Day. Trying to avoid the traffic. I drove the 500 miles from Paris up to Manchester, and so I really didn't get up to much on Christmas Day. And Boxing Day yesterday was a game against Leicester, so I did a best part of 300 miles yesterday as well. So the body's creaking a bit, at my age. 800 miles in 2 days, so yeah. It's quiet. I left my family back there. I'm really not into going to Disneyland or that kind of stuff. I've been many, many times. Obviously, we lived there for so many.
Yeah, of course.
It's winter, man. It's cold. It's going to be wet and windy. I'm not keen. I leave the family there with the in-laws, and come back here, and hopefully I'll watch 4 games of football before they come back. How about you, mate?
Excellent.
What have you been up to?
Oh, same old. Every year we had father-in-law stays over with us. He comes over. So, it was a quiet one this year. Nice one, but, it was quiet. It was just great to get to Boxing Day yesterday, but then, atrocious performance. So I put a dampener down on everything again. But, we look forward to the Southampton and, obviously we'll meet up at the Liverpool game that's coming up. So, you were there yesterday on behalf of Man City Fan TV. What went wrong? I
think it's a few of us were saying it's been coming. We were all right. I think we've been all right in games, especially in the first half. Of the first half, we scored a goal.
Yeah, good goal as well. Good, nice move.
Yeah, Leicester didn't offer anything, in my opinion, until they got that goal, and it was like for them, a light had been turned on. They switched on. It's like, hang on, we're back level. We can get at these. Whereas before, I don't think they weren't running as hard. They weren't chasing down. They weren't pressing as much. As soon as they got that goal, they knew that they could get something more than a draw out of this game. They knew that game was there for the taking, and it was. And I just felt that they started working harder than us. We've said it for several games now. We were sloppy. Were sloppy. Whether people say teams have worked us out, I'm not so sure.
No,
and at the time, when I did my video yesterday, I said if we scored a second goal quickly, I could see us hammering Leicester because the teams generally give up 2-0 down against City. It's very hard to come back. So, as I said, once they got that goal, the confidence was there. They tapped us down the flanks. I mean, it was obvious. That was definitely something they were going to do. They were going to put balls over the top, as they normally do in their counter-attacking way, and let Vardy and whoever else is there to chase. It was, I'll tell you about the goal. It was very, very disappointing. Whether or not there was a foul on Danilo, and some people said there was. I mean, we were miles away, but it did look a dodgy tackle on him. But we've got to recover. We didn't get the free kick. We can't just lie down and cry about it.
Absolutely.
You've got to get on with it. If the ref doesn't give you a free kick, you can't just, do nothing. So, the cross that obviously Vardy put the cross in, it felt too easy. But Delph wasn't marking his man. I didn't watch Match of the Day. I haven't seen it.
I did. I watched it just so I could see what actually happened, because I know we discussed it after the match in the videos and discussed it on Twitter. And I watched the game on a live stream, when it broke down with the Danilo tackle, there was still 4 or 5 City players against 3.
Some of them, definitely.
And Vardy, Stones went out to cover. No tackle whatsoever. Pulled it inside. Just had, again, another one, just like we've been saying all along in the last few games. Another free cross to pick his man out. And when I saw Match of the Day, Delph looked behind him.
Yeah.
Actually saw Albrighton, but then looked up, saw Vardy had the ball, but then looked like he wasn't sure whether to play offside or not, got caught. right in the middle of either decision, and the ball had already played behind him by that point.
Yeah, see, I mean, at the time, I saw him turn, and this is what I think I remember. I saw him turn,
he did,
and then he switched off.
If he would have stepped out at that moment when he saw Albrighton behind him, if he would have stepped out with the line, the cross would have put Albrighton offside.
Yeah, because he
seemed to caught in between two minds.
For many years, I'll admit I'm no great strategist, I'm no great footballer, but I used to play left back, and in Saturday leagues, I used to play left back, and what I feel Delph should have done, and as I said, I haven't watched it again to see what happened. He should have kind of opened his body. So your body's open like that. You can see where the ball is and what's happening there. You know you've got your players there, and it's their responsibility to either snuff out that cross or to sort Vardy out. But you've also got to see what's going on there. You've got to have a very good idea where the man is. And if you turn around for a fraction of a second, the ball's got you've got no idea where this guy's gone. And in that 1 second, the guy could have moved 3 meters. You've got no chance. So you've got to know where he is. And even what I'd do, I'd move across and I'd get closer to him. You know, as I said, I'm not a great football at the level I played and know exactly where to be. That's what I thought. If I was there, what would I do? You know, to counter this guy behind me. That's what I done.
Like I said, I looked at it again last night on Match of the Day, and the fact of we generally play that high line really, really well. We've been, well drilled, and I was quite surprised. It's not like Delph had come in at left back the first time, and it's, oh my God. I mean, Delph's played left back loads of times now, and if he would have just stepped out with the line, the cross, Albright would have been 2-3 yards offside, but he looked behind him, and then
it's too late then.
He didn't make the decision immediately one way or the other, and by then the ball was over. It was a good finish by Albrighton.
Yeah. But the thing is, he did it again with the hamster. There was another cross, and Delph would let his man go. Yeah. Whether he'd given it up, whether he thought there's no way the guy's going to get there. And we were lucky because I think, if I'm right, Hamza Chowdhury knocked it across Edison. He'd beaten Edison and leathered it away.
Kicked it away, yeah.
Yeah. So, and there was another time as well with a free kick where Delph knew where the player was. He could see where the free kick was coming from. So he was watching everything, and it still went beyond him and to the guy. And if I remember correctly, exactly the same happened. The other game was against Palace when it was knocked on the head. And
but does that come down to the fact of who's taking control of that back four? When Vinny's there, or Otamendi sometimes there. Are Stones and Laporte communicating enough with Walker or Danilo or with Delph? Is there anybody taking control?
To be honest, they shouldn't need to tell Delph to stick with his man. Your man's there. He's the only danger in the box. Albrighton was the only danger in the box. And you've got to snuff out that danger. You've got to counter it. And he didn't. It's like saying you only had one job. Your one job was to stop that guy scoring.
If everyone did their jobs, nobody would score, would they?
You got to be neat. You got to be, as some of the pros say, touch tight, or you got to be tighter. You got to see what's happening with the guy. And if you turn your back to him, you can't see it. And it just didn't look right. But there's a few times where, I think in the second half, I was screaming at things like this, where we just, we were putting balls out, and they were going. People were not aware of what was going on. And that's kind of frustrating. So we lost it when they scored. They've got that confidence. They went for us. We wobbled. And, you can tell me the last game we didn't wobble after a team had scored. It seems we have a good level of control of a game. We have a lot of possession, a lot of passing. Teams are very nervous. They give us a lot of respect, maybe too much respect. As soon as they get a goal, whether it's freaky, lucky, good play, or whatever, and generally they've been the first chance goal. Palace.
But we had other opportunities. A couple of, all right, not brilliant, but a couple of opportunities. Sergio's one where he pulled it across and he hit it over the bar, and those are the type of chances that he would normally put away.
would you call them half chances or clear cut chances?
Oh, I would have said I would have said that was a good half chance. That a player of his caliber, up to speed, he'd bury those, no problem whatsoever.
I think we had a few good situations or opportunities to make something better of what we had. I think on my video last night, I said about Leroy Sane. I mean, he had one pass to him, and he should have taken it in his stride. He took that touch, and he got the tackling. Last game, Leroy Sane.
He's done it a few times lately.
Yeah, and he was a bit greedy, and instead of hitting it across the keeper, you're taught as a kid, hit it across the keeper. Either it'll go in, or the keeper might save it, push it out, and someone else, and I think Sterling was waiting to tap it in, or he could have passed, and he chose to shoot at the near post and hit the side netting. That's no good to anybody.
But then again, to counter that, the goal he scored against Everton, sorry, not Everton, the one that he scored in the near post when he got put through by, was it Gundogan the other week? So I can see some of the things, but it just looks a little out of sorts, and it's like,
it's weird.
Sometimes he'll he suddenly comes alive and bang, you think, oh my God, look how quick! Oh, that's brilliant. I mean, a couple of times yesterday, but he just doesn't seem to be. He's not doing it.
He's not
consistently enough
at a high enough level for long enough.
Yeah,
he's a bit, what's the right word, petulant, or and I said it in my video again last night, there was a cross that came in that was too high. He was coming in off his wing, hoping to either tap it in or get a header or whatever. And it had gone over him. And he just threw his hands up and give up.
We've seen that a few times this season.
Yeah, and it needed Sergio to come from further away. And Sergio busted a gut. And there's one thing I'll say about Sergio yesterday, when people were, some fans slagging him off. I think he really put a shift and he worked really hard. I mean, that epitomised it. Was quite late in the game, the last third of the game, and he really, really busted a gut. And he dived in, got the ball back, and we got, we tried to attack again. That should have been Sane's job. And sometimes, but when he's lost the ball, yes, he's legged it 30, 40, 50 yards. But hey, that's what you have to do. And
we do seem to have lost this little bit of energy. We've seen Leroy do it a few times this season where he's chased 35, 40 yards back to win the ball back. But of late, not just him, not just pulling Sane out for this one, but we just don't look, as if we're fighting for every single ball. And
that was my feeling. My feeling was once they'd scored, they knew they could get something from the game, and they wanted it more than City. And we were wobbling. It didn't look great. My light's flickering here on and off, but it didn't look great. Some of the stuff we were doing, and they were double teaming when Raheem got the ball. You generally find two guys. When Sane got the ball, there were two guys on him, and people talk about missing Fernandinho. Yes, we do miss Fernandinho, but the goal, wasn't the first goal. Certainly wasn't. Fernandinho wouldn't have stopped that. That was circumstance, and Delph made a mistake. But I think we've also missed David Silva, because what we were doing yesterday, we were putting high crosses in. Now, they're just not the tallest of blokes. You've got people like Hamza Chowdhury or Harry Maguire in defence. He's not going to win headers against them.
But we did that against Palace. We were doing the same against Palace, playing, crossing into the box with one player, Gabby, versus three centre-backs. And it's like, why?
Gabby's not a great header of a ball. He's more likely to get his shoulder on than his head. Why are we doing that? I don't know. But with David Silva, and I've said this many times, he does these triangles, and he's looking for that opportunity to slide the fullback, let Leroy run onto it. He's at the byline, usually doesn't have to cut his stride, and he puts it back or hits it across the 6-yard box. And that's the kind of goals we've been scoring a lot of tap-ins like that. People say, "Oh, you guys are all doing tap-ins." Well, yeah, they're set up for tap-ins, and pumping them in high.
It's not. It's not working. But onto their winner. A poor header.
I said it at the time. It's a poor header.
Yeah, it was a. Could have anywhere. Could have gone back to. To the corner, could have gone out, could have gone anywhere, but just a weak header to And then I looked at it again last night. I mean, this is what I say about effort to close players down. Bernardo Silva hardly made any effort whatsoever to stop that at all. Sort of threw a lazy leg out and turned his back. And
no, I'm not again, but look, when I played, I mean, when the way I looked at football, I didn't have the greatest ability, but what I had was I give it everything. Yeah. And when someone's having a shot like that, to coin a phrase, you put your balls on the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that game, you put everything in the way, and I don't think some of our players are really doing that.
Well, I mean, he had the opportunity. I mean, again, don't want to single him out, but I mean, it just sort of epitomised yesterday's performance. It was like a half-hearted attempt to try and stop a shot, thinking, well, is that far out? He's going to hit somebody, I mean, what a strike. I mean, absolutely no stopping that whatsoever.
As soon as he hit it, I mean, we were at the other end of the ground. As soon as he hit it, you knew it was going in.
Oh,
you knew Edison wasn't going to get anywhere near it. It was just hit so beautifully. And
that's two in 2 games, 2 worldies in, 2 brilliant strikes in 2 games. I mean, there's not a lot. People are sort of saying, social media, Edison don't make many saves, and he made 2 or 3 very good saves yesterday, and kept us actually in the game. Because at one point we could have been 3-1 down.
Personally, last season for me, I think Edison could have made more saves last season, but he's not just there to make the saves. He's there to create and calm and control at the back. So, he's made some great saves this season as well. So, did he have any chance with the goals yesterday?
No chance.
You can't.
No, neither goals. Anyway, okay. Obviously, time is of the essence. Well, let's go through the team and look at sort of player ratings then. So, if we start off with Edison, out of 10. Oh, the lights are back on.
Edison, I'll give him a 7. I mean, I like to have a standard rating of 7. You did all right. You get a 7. You get plus marks for doing some great stuff, and you lose marks for doing poor stuff. So I'd say Edison 7. His passing and control at the back is what we've become used to. He had one great long kick out to Sergio, which was probably about 80 yards. Fantastic, right to him. He didn't have a chance with the goals, and as you say, he saved us a few times. So,
yeah, I'd go with. Yeah, I think I would definitely go with a 7 as well. I don't think there was anything he could have done at all for either goal really yesterday. And like I said, he did make a couple of very good saves as well. So if we go on to then Danilo came in. Obviously Walker was rested. What were your thoughts on Danilo out of
10? Danilo, I think he was okay, considering it's his first game. Is it his first game of the season, or
I don't think it's his first. I think he's had appearances, but I don't think it was his first.
But he's been injured for a while.
Yeah.
Around the time of the maybe not even the last international break, maybe the one before. He did make. Obviously you're going to pick on mistakes that people made. He did one where he did a delf where they had a free kick. He looked at his man. He knew where his man was, and he still let the ball go over his head, and the guy was gone. I'll give Danilo a 6.5. I think he was steady. He didn't offer a great outlet on the right, but it's his first game back in ages. So cut him a little bit of slack and trying to be sensible about it. I'll give him a 6.5.
Okay, well I gave him a 6. So, but for all those reasons, first game back. So, didn't do anything majorly wrong. You could argue, was it a foul for their first goal, or did he do an Otamendi and dive in and ended up reaching and falling over and possibly started their counter-attack? But I'll give him a 6. I don't think he was nothing like Walker was against Palace, that's for certain. We had our usual pairing back, Stones and Laporte. So, Stones and Laporte, what would you give them to?
I don't remember any major ricks from either of them. I'll give them both 7s. I think the usual kind of control at the back, stepping in, generally decent at the back, good control, good passing. You feel very confident with those two guys playing, so I'll give them both 7.
Well, I gave Laporte 7. I gave Stones a 6, only because of the lack of closing down for that first goal. But yeah, I mean, both of them for me are still the best partnership. Moving on to Delph at left back.
How low can you go? I've got to dock him. I've got to dock him. Sorry,
it was a poor one.
Yeah, I'll start with my 7. I've got to dock him 1.5 points, 2 points for letting Albrighton free. I've got to dock him a point for letting Hamza go free. He did offer us. It was quite decent coming forwards. Good control, good passing. His long range passing wasn't as good as I think it normally is.
Yeah,
there's quite a few of his diagonal passes that didn't get to the man, and then he got sent off. I've not seen that again. It looks harsh at the time, but we were at the other end again. It looked like he got the ball. But
he got the ball. There was no two ways about the fact that he got the ball. It was the follow through afterwards that was deep.
I saw a picture this morning, and he's stood.
He's off the ground, and I know, but I mean that's. He's off the floor. But that picture you see, he's already took the ball already. The ball's already gone, and the way he's tackled, his foot's come up, and it wasn't a nasty follow through. He caught him. There's no doubt about it, and it wouldn't surprise me if he got a yellow, definite yellow, a red. I'm not so sure.
In there as well. I mean, I'm going to give him a 4.
Okay. Well, I gave him a 5. I would have given him a 6, but I dropped one for the goal. I mean, the red card we can argue about all day, and should it have been a red or not, and should he be throwing himself in? He's already done it once last season, but he's a defender. He's playing out position, and sometimes frustration gets the better of you, and you want that bit of fight sometimes, but maybe he just went a little bit over the top. Moving into midfield, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne. We start off with Gundogan.
Gundogan.
He held, so
I'll give him a toss up between 6 and 6.5. He didn't create enough for us. He does take more time. I'm sure we've all seen that. He does take a fraction of a second. Sometimes chances are gone. But if the players are moving around enough and he's got enough time, he does put through some great balls that we mentioned earlier to Leroy a couple of games ago. So he's not a defensive midfielder. He's supposed to be there as a defensive midfielder. So I'll give him a 6.5. I don't think he was terrible, but I don't think he did enough moving the ball quick enough. And when they were really chasing around, he wasn't getting as much time on the ball as he'd like.
I gave him a 6.5 as well, for all the reasons you did. What about Bernardo Silva? He was replaced with Mahrez later on in the game on the 83rd minute, but
I didn't think he offered as much. I mean, he's there as a creative midfielder, and apart from his goal, did he offer as much else? To be honest.
Not really. I mean, to be fair, we started the season on fire. He's probably one of our, if not the best player we had. But he just seems to have sort of said it the other week, just tipping over the edge. And I don't know whether that's because Silva's not with him and De Bruyne has not been there and Fernandinho's not been there. But his passing, his crossing was poor on Saturday against Palace. Didn't do a great deal for me. He gets a 6 from me.
And I'll give him a 6.5 because he scored the goal. He had to be there.
Apologies. Yeah, I'll give him a 6.5. Yeah, I mean, he took his goal well. Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne?
He tried, but I think he's coming back. Obviously, an injury. He's hardly played this season.
His radar's just slightly off, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
just slightly off his radar.
And because he's normally so pinpoint, when it's just a little bit off, you notice it, and when it's a little bit off, those fantastic passes that no one sees, he doesn't make them, and we don't score. I mean, I'll give him a 6.5 as well.
That's what he got from me.
Yeah, I think he just needs more time. Give him a couple more games, and he'll be right up to speed.
Yeah. And then move up front. We had Sterling, Sane, and Aguero. So if we start off with Sterling, for me personally, didn't have a great game. One of his poorer ones, if I'm honest. Couple of nice chinky moves, keeps the ball well. He's always a threat. I mean, he'll always, even if he has a poor game, he'll do something in a game that can turn it on its head. But 6.5, 6.5 for me.
I was going to give him a 6 because I think we need our better players to do more in games like this when we are struggling. I mean, he's done it before when he's taken a game by the scruff of the neck and he made the difference. And I just don't think he did. Having 2 men on him obviously is going to make it more difficult. And then if he had support from someone like Danilo or Kevin, then a third man would come over. So they were working. I mean, give us the credit. They were.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But we need our wide men to do something. We need them to create and to cause trouble. He didn't do enough. Same with Sane. Sane, he had some good touches, some good bits of skill. I'm going to give him 6 as well. Good bits of skill, but it's not sustained at high enough quality for long enough. He drifts in and out of the game sometimes, and for the level of ability that he actually does have, you want to influence the game a lot more at a higher level, and I just don't think he's done it in the last 2 games. But he's getting 2 or 3 men on him. It is difficult. But the change when David Silva's back and firing again, I think Sane will look better as well.
Okay, so that was what for Sterling?
I give Sterling a 6. I give them both a 6.
Okay, I'll agree with you. Sterling and Sane both get a 6. Aguero.
He worked really, really hard. He was struggling with obviously to win those headers, and when he did have a chance with a header, he plonked it wide. I'm tossing up between 6.5 and 7. I'll give him 6.5 because he didn't do enough for me. But on work rate alone, I don't think you could ask for more from Sergio.
I gave him a 7 because of his effort, but could easily have got 6. So it's somewhere in between, I guess. And just finally, then we've got a couple of subs. Obviously, David Silva came on the 70th minute. Great to see him back, but a little bit, too little, too late at that point. Yeah,
it was a bit late. To be honest, I don't think he'd have played Silva if we were winning 2-0. Wanted to. Dave needs to shave his head.
Get his baldness back.
Get it back because he was unbelievable at the start of the season. Incredible, playing some of the best football I've seen him play. We need him. We need him back. I'll give him a 6.5. He didn't do I don't think he did a lot. By that stage, we were in trouble. So I'll give him a 6.5.
I'll agree with that. I don't normally anybody who plays normally less than 20 minutes as a sub. I don't normally give scores for anyway. But may as well just the last one. Mahrez came on 83rd minute.
7 minutes.
It's hard to give 7 minutes. No score. It's difficult.
It's very difficult to influence.
We'll give him one for Mahrez watch, but I mean for the overall, we have to give him one for Mahrez watch. But just to keep those fanboys happy.
But he didn't influence the game in the 10 minutes or so that he was on the pitch because we had a bit of injury time as well.
Yeah.
But it's hard to influence the game, but to be honest, he didn't make any difference to what Sterling did. So I mean, I'd give him I'd say 6 or 6.5 just because he was on the pitch, but he didn't really make any. There's no cutting edge.
I'll give him a 10. They'll love that. No score for him. So,
what about Pep?
Yeah, I mean,
what match?
Well, I mean, to be fair, saw the team that came out at the beginning and thought, well happy with that. We've been saying for a couple of weeks now, City fans, that Walker needs a rest. He's tired. He needs a rest. We want Stones and Laporte back in as our centre backs. We would have Delph over the Zinchenko as it stands at the moment. So I mean, the back four with Edison, perfectly happy. Fernandinho was a surprise; he wasn't included at all. And then, well, who would you play? Well, Gundogan as a tip. So, and then you've got De Bruyne. And the toss-up between should David Silva start? Probably not. So Bernardo Silva. And then you would go Sane, Sterling, Aguero. So, I mean, at the beginning, you pick the team and you think, that's a team I possibly would have gone with.
I mean, to be honest, the day before the game, I put a team up and I put Foden in. Because I think...
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought Bernardo, like you say, he's had a couple of not-so-great games. And I just thought, maybe he needs a rest. Foden, I felt we needed to change something. We needed to be a little bit different. Foden did all right against Leicester in the Carabao Cup, even though they had 6 or 7 first teamers not starting. Yeah. And I thought we need to be doing something different. And also, whether you call it rotation, whether you call it putting pressure on the player with the shirt. Now we saw Mahrez, that put pressure on Sterling and Sane, because Sane knew he doesn't perform. Mahrez comes on the right, Sterling's on the left.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You don't perform, Mahrez is waiting in the wings. So I think that's one of the things that Mahrez brought is that pressure. And I think some of the players in the team need to realise and understand that their place isn't safe. Like Bernardo Silva knows when David's back, he slides down the
pecking order.
So I mean, personally, I didn't think Pep would do it, but I'd have thrown Foden in, give him a chance and say, you got 45 minutes, show me what you can do. And you make the difference. Whether, irrespective of his age, he's there now and he's putting in good performances in the cameos he gets. I'd have given him a shot because I think we needed that shot in the arm. We needed something different.
Yeah. Bit of legs.
Hang on a minute.
Bit of energy.
Yeah. Energy from you,
Well, maybe Pep will shove him in for the Southampton game. We'll see. But moving on, a few more questions before we sort of wrap up. And one is, where do you stand on the fact of January window open soon? Do we need to buy in January?
Pep said he would.
Well, 2 questions. Do we need to buy in January? And if that's a yes, let's put what Pep said to one side. Okay. Do we need to buy in January? And if that is a yes, what are the realistic targets? Because January is notoriously difficult to purchase players.
Yeah. Yes, I think we do. We've seen from both Zinchenko and Delph, they've been caught out far too often at left back. I think some of that's because, when Kevin's not there, when David's not there, we're a different midfield. And Fernandinho's not there. We're a totally different midfield. And I think last season we got by with those guys, with Zinchenko and Delph, partly because we had so much possession, so much control. We were so dangerous. Teams were scared. Silva's been playing, and but teams have still been scoring. And Kevin's been away, and Fernandinho's out. Getting those 3 back, I think that's going to make a big difference to the defence because you've got screening. And I think there's an interesting thing I read this morning about the Leicester defenders when they had Robert Huth there. He was already well in his 30s. They've got Wes Morgan there, and someone asked, how did you do it? Because these guys were too old. How did you, And he said it was Kante. Kante was protecting us. He was the man that made the difference. And without him, done it. So without Fernandinho, that protection isn't there. Without the threat from Kevin and Silva, David Silva, that in effect, that is our attack is the best form of defence. People are so scared that their threat is reduced. So
if I had to push you though and say, okay, you said yes, who are realistic targets? Realistic targets, do you think, for the January transfer window? Not the summer. We need players now, who do you think potentially name me. I'll give you three options. Otherwise, we'll be here all day going through, myriad of players. But three potential transfer signings that we might get in January.
Well, I want left back, so I'd look first of all at Chilwell because he's been mentioned. He's 21. I talked to Leicester fans, before the game, long-time Leicester fans. They said before this season they're a bit, they knew he had the ability, but he wasn't coming. And now he's come through. He's in the England setup, playing for England, and he looks all right. He'd cost us 40, 50 million quid. Everybody's going to sting us, whether it was a summer or January.
Yeah.
So he's an option. Bertrand, chap over from Southampton. And I think if we'd got him in the summer, he might have cost us between 10 and 15 million quid.
Yeah.
I think it was you on Twitter who said he'd be happy to play second choice, to be a backup, because people are happy to play in big teams as backup because they know they're going to A, win trophies, B, get good money, and C, if you're lucky and someone else is unlucky, someone's injured or something like Mendy was last season and this season,
get
games.
Yeah.
So Bertrand is another decent option. He's a stopgap. I don't know how old he is now. He's in his late 20s.
28.
I'm really struggling because there's those two. The other place I want to. If you ask me now what positions you need to fill in, I want that left back, and I want a proper defensive midfielder, not a stopgap, not someone who play 2 or 3 games while Fernandinho gets the rest or is injured or suspended. I want a decent. I can't think of any, honestly, right now that we could go and get without having to go stupid money. Tongan, for example, Tongan and Bailey. Now, if he's sold next summer, I'm thinking about 60 to 70 million quid. If we go in January, they're going to say we'll get stuffed. We want 100 million, and because that will derail Leon's season. So if we want a really decent player up and coming, Frankie de Jong, they say he's going to Barcelona now. Even if he wasn't, he wants to see at the end of the season. And if we want to get him in January, it'll cost us. There'll be a massive premium. So I can't see us getting a good quality defensive midfielder in January. I'd go out for Chilwell. I said it before the game. If it costs us 50 million, he's a proper left back. Why not?
He's English.
Yeah, always going to help. And it'd be great. It'd be great to have Walker, Stones, and Chilwell, who could end up in a year or two's time being the English 3 of the 4 at the back.
Okay, I'll throw just very quickly a spanner in the works and say, what about putting Danilo at left back and bringing Luke Bolton in first cover for Walker?
Well, I think Luke Bolton's been injured, if I remember.
He's back now.
Back now. Whatever we do, it's a risk. It's as much a risk, let's put it on the same level, as getting a player in from Europe, paying big money for him, and him not finding his feet straight away. We could spend 50 million on somebody. We could get that junior Firpo from Real wherever. Madrid are looking at paying him 50, 60 million quid for. We get him in, and he might not find his feet for 6 months or 12 months. And
that's the problem with the January transfer window. It's the fact of, we could pay big money for somebody, bring them in, and look at Mahrez still trying to adapt after 6 months to Pep Guardiola's team. A left back would have to adapt to the rest of the defenders, Pep's tactics, and he might need 6 months.
The thing is, we just don't know. Laporte adapted. Laporte came in, and he did all right. And he was a bit.
I think centre backs can get away with it a bit more than full backs. I think full backs, especially in Pep's sort of the way Pep wants to play, the full backs are so important.
Yeah, you are exposed.
Oh God, yeah, very exposed.
I mean, it's an option. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want them to go back to putting Laporte at left back or Stones at right.
No, neither do I.
even though we could bring someone like Eric Garcia through from, I think he's a brilliant prospect, and every time I've seen him, he's looked fantastic. He's looked like he deserves to be there. Like Pep said on the American tour, he looks like he's 24, 25 years old. But I want
do we go back to playing three at the back?
I did think about that. I was thinking, what do we do against Liverpool? Are we going to?
Do we go back to three at the back, be solid, and start from the back forward? I can't see Pep doing it, but if we're struggling defensively at the moment for players that are fit and can defend properly, why not just have why not play it at Southampton, but in a more attacking way, and let's see it to the Liverpool game. And plant a seed in Klopp's mind that we're going to play three at the back, or maybe don't play three at the back. I don't know.
You could play with someone like Company as your aggressive defender.
Or Otamendi.
You can't be that aggressive. And Stones and Laporte, because Stones will play on the right of Company, Laporte could play on the left. You could play maybe Zinchenko as a left wing back and Mahrez as a right wing back, because he's done it against Liverpool at their place, and Mahrez was very, very committed.
Or Walker. I mean, let's face it, Walker right wing back.
Walker gets another game's rest. I think that's another option. And then we could have our Fab 3 in midfield with Fernandinho, Kevin and Silva, and Sergio and Gabi up front. And we could go that way. Obviously you wouldn't have Sane and Sterling. So
I'm just throwing it out there as we're talking about how difficult it is in January to buy players. Most of the top class players are still in the Champions League with their clubs. If you look at Lyon, you look at Ajax, you look at those teams, they're still in the Champions League with their clubs. So that's what, if they were out, at least it gives a little bit of incentive to say you potentially could still be in the Champions League at the later stages.
You did ask me for 3 players, and I'll only give you 2. My third player, we won't get, but I'd be very happy for City to say, Chelsea, here's £100 million. We want N'Golo Kante. And tell Kante, we want you to play as a defensive midfielder. Because, hey, mate, you're not playing as a you're the best defensive midfielder in the world. And you're not playing
as a defensive midfielder. Chelsea.
I can't see them doing it. But why not? 100 million. Wow. If that solves the problem. And he can play in the Champions League.
Yeah. I can't see Chelsea selling N'Golo Kante.
It's ridiculous.
Well, okay. Well, that's fair enough. But, I mean, if you don't ask, you don't get, as they say. So, right. So, I think we've established, it's going to be bloody difficult in January to get anybody in. It might be 1 or 2 sort of short-term fixes with the likes. Bertrand's 29 years of age, so that's an option. We could get him on the cheap. Chilwell. Would Leicester City sell him? Well, I mean, if you're sort of talking 50 million quid, and they might do. We did think they'd sell Mahrez, but they did. So I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening in January, I must admit, and that's the dilemma. Which leads us on to our sort of final question: is when social media has been in meltdown now for a week, and it's quite a difficult one. Obviously, we're not just 2 individuals who just go on Twitter with our own, bios and do our own and say whatever we like. Obviously, we're representing the channel, and we have to critique the games. And whether people, agree or disagree is irrelevant. But we have to do that by the nature of what we do. Otherwise, there's no point in running a channel if you don't say anything about the games or the players or anything like that. But certainly last night, it seemed to go into like mega meltdown with regards to some people, saying, harping back to, you can't say that. We were at York. We were here. And it's like, well, we're only critiquing a performance. It doesn't mean to say that we don't like City anymore. But if you say, I thought that player played poor, or I thought the team today were poor, or they didn't put in enough effort, you suddenly can be seen, not by all, but by a minority, as being negative and being. And I can understand that, because a lot of old school City fans still have this. Oh, well, if you were there in the 90s, well, yeah, we were there in the 90s. We followed City as well, but we have to critique them objectively, each performance and each player. That's just by the nature of what we do. But on the flip side of that, what we've got and what we have, and this is quite annoying, is we do have this following. Where they've come from, I've no idea. When they actually joined, I've no idea. But we do have some of these young kids. And I think that doesn't help when they post things like Pep's a fraud, Cheeky and the board need binning because they're useless and blah. And so what happens is when genuine fans critique in an objective manner, we get lumped in with all these idiots who are making the most ridiculous statements. And you have your say, and I'll read out a couple just from today.
The thing is, then fans and other people look at social media and that these clowns who sometimes don't live in the country. You've got people. For example, I won't mention his handle. I forgot his handle. Guy out in the Middle East who. He's got a few thousand followers. He's got a bit
like the Pep Guardiola-ista or something.
Yeah, Sheikh Mansour's friend.
Oh yeah, he knows Pep and Khaldoon and Sheikh Mansour. Yeah.
Rubbish. There's another guy who I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is no. I'm not bad in any country, but I'm pretty sure where he's from Southeast Asia. He's got another guy with a few thousand followers on Twitter. I mean, everybody's entitled to your opinion, but some of these opinions are laughable. I'd much prefer the fans that are in the middle of the road, rather than, like that fellow from Arsenal Fan TV, Ty, who only sees the positive. You got beat 6-0. Oh, no, we're wrong. I don't want that kind of fan. But over the top and, calling the players all sorts of dirty names, I don't want them either. So it is interesting because, we do put our faces out there. A lot of people hide behind their Avi or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
On Twitter. And you have no idea who they are and where they're from. And then, as I said, fans from other clubs look at some of these ridiculous things. And fans from our club look at some of these ridiculous things. And people do get a little bit vexed. And then you'll get, sometimes you'll get, some of the mainstream media will look at the meltdown on some. And it's sad, they'll say, "Oh, this guy's got 4,000 or 5,000 Twitter followers." And kind of people might assume that they're an actual match-going fan.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
And they might have just popped along on the scene 2 or 3 years ago, or they might be following Guardiola or whatever it might be. So it doesn't look good for the fan base. And the thing is, what do you do? Do you just ignore them, or do you counter them? If you ignore them, they become more emboldened, and then that seems to be the voice of the fan base. It is these rogue elements, let's say.
Yeah.
And then if you take them on, you just get the abuse yourself. So it's a tricky situation. Like Guardiola, slap him down. And all he does is come out and criticises and call us pensioners. Hey,
well, we're not far off, I guess.
Oh no, I don't. 20 years
You're older than me. No, I mean, like I said, not calling people out, but I will call this person out because, we got into a bit of a debate earlier today, and Stephen Tudor got involved with a couple of comments. And this person is at Man City Army 1894. And I know he's got quite a few followers, but he is a kid. And he's put Pep, the pros, great style of football, 100-point season, given us more confidence to win games versus the top six, not tactically naive. The cons: team lacks bottle. 3 players in a 25-man squad know how to defend. Overthinks things, but he's not tactically naive, but he overthinks things. And the team nowhere near retaining a title or winning a Champions League. He said, so somebody else, one of his friends on Twitter, I was told to stop moaning and trust Cheeky. I wouldn't trust that fraud as far as I would throw him. In another one, he said, Pep is not meeting standards. You judge him to his standards. He's 3 years into the job and the mentality at the club is terrible. The team has 3 players in the entire squad who know what it means to properly defend. We look so far off back-to-back titles or the Champions League. And finally, Cheeky is stealing a living because his mate is the boss. Does this fraud not have a contract or something, for fuck's sake? He's put. Yeah. And this is a guy who claimed, I don't want Pep or Cheeky out, and his actual avatar is a picture of Cheeky with a big red cross through it. And, you know, it's like, geez, I said to him on there, Village somewhere is missing its idiot, you know, and wants it back. Because you read these type of things and it's like, for God's sake, I mean, and then others writing about it's fact that Cheeky, you know, Khaldoon and Cheeky and the board were messed up with the Virgil van Dijk transfer, and it was like Van Dijk said before even the transfer, any transfers were done, he wants to move to Liverpool.
Yeah,
it's no different. Give me the proof if you're going to come out making these statements.
I saw that one. It didn't matter what we offered. If we'd offered 70, 80 million for Van Dijk, he wouldn't have come. His heart was set on Liverpool. That's where he was going to go.
And Liverpool would have paid the 80 million.
Yeah, Liverpool were going to pay whatever. I think, look, if Van Dijk said, I'll come to City, and it would have cost us 80 million, I think we'd have paid it.
Yeah.
We'd have negotiated a bit harder with Southampton, but I think we'd have paid the right money.
Yeah.
But go to Liverpool, there's nothing you can do about that. You know, that person criticised us for Fred and Alexis.
Yeah, that's right.
But City have a philosophy. If you're coming for the right footballing reasons, if you want to learn under Pep, if you want to play with these fantastic talents that we've got, if you want to win trophies, then we want you. But if you, Alexis Sanchez saying, well, hang on, you're 250 grand or whatever a week, Man United are offering me 500. Well, straight away we say we don't want you. Get lost.
Yeah.
Same with Fred. I think they asked for too much money. And generally, something about Pep, I said this many, many months ago. He doesn't go back after a player's turned him down. He's not interested.
He won't go back. Yeah.
He's only done it once, as far as I can, especially at City. He's only done it once, and that was with Laporte.
Yeah.
And that was because Laporte was injured, and when he said no, so he said, and Laporte said since he wanted to get fit, prove to himself and everything that he was ready again, and then the move. So that's the only. You don't go for it. He's not interested. He moves on because you've not shown him what it takes. You've not shown him what the attitude and the desire you have. So
so I mean, the overall theme with to finish off is the fact of I don't think there's anything wrong with critiquing the team or the performance as a whole if you're objective with it. But to call Cheeky a fraud, probably last year or the year before they were calling Pepper fraud, Bald fraud, whatever they were, and it gives the proper City fans who spend their money and go every week, from the outside looking in, these kids are the ones who can be representing our club. And this is what you see, plastic fans, you get this plastic comment. It's because of people like these. And yet I saw the videos that he did last night, and that guy at the end, was it Steve? Stephen, yeah. And he just said, I'll follow City whether we win, lose or draw. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. I've not missed a game in over 2 years, home and away, and blah, 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 blah. And that is the majority of fans. But when you get these idiots on social media, and people say, oh, block them or mute them or this, but they just pop up all the time. They're just consistently... and if City fans don't turn around and tell them, then, like you said, it emboldens them sometimes to think, oh, I'm in the right, and I can say whatever I like. And, you can do, but you're wrong at the end of the day.
But as I said, we can tell them they're wrong till we're blue in the face. They're not going to agree. We're living in times where people are... everything has to be black and white, people don't want to change their minds. They've got this impression that very rarely do people change their minds and say, actually, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. My outlook's wrong. People are very, very likely to change, And as I said, they are emboldened, and then people think this is what the fan base is like. Well, the fan base ain't like that.
No, it's not.
We see the fan base when we go to games. We see what the genuine fans are like, and the people that we generally have a great time with on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, on YouTube. We have some great fans that we have nice chats with, nice and polite. We talk tactics, we talk atmosphere, we talk whatever. Sadly, you'll get those people coming in who'll, effing blind at so and so and so and so and say he's rubbish. Get him out of my club. Get that C out of my club. Get that D out. I'm not interested in that. I might humour them for a little while, but very quickly the block comes out because I'm bored with that.
Yeah, it's a shame. But anyway, we're almost up to an hour. So, sorry.
Have you not? You were tweet of the week. Have you not read that on Twitter? Yeah, you got tweet of the week or something. You were included in someone's article, and they wrote about 6 or 7, 8 people and said your tweets were included in my article. So have you not seen that? Maybe you should go and retweet it.
All right.
Yeah.
What's that for?
Some article. I didn't get a chance to read it. Once I saw your name there, I thought, well, quality's not there, is it? No. But you should go and find it and retweet it, let everybody know.
Oh, that was in tweet of the week. Oh yeah. I just need Talk Sport now to tell me I'm caller of the week, maybe.
I'll be quite honest. When
that person knows who I'm talking about.
We both know. When that came on, I actually changed channels. I didn't know who it was, but I was bored and I changed channels. I put some music on instead. And I was driving back from Leicester and I didn't want to fall asleep, so put some.
Well, listen, you'll be at the Southampton game.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing our usual stuff, and then into the new year we'll be at the Liverpool game, then the Rotherham game, and then I go away to Brussels, and I'm flying back as the Burton game kicks off. So I won't be at the Burton game, sadly. So I would have really liked to have gone to that home leg as well, but certainly try and get to the away leg.
Well, I'm hoping to go to the academy game on the Tuesday night against Rochdale. Take my kids there. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff, so I might as well plug that. 7 o'clock kickoff at Spotland in Rochdale. I don't know how much it costs, but these games are very, very cheap. And with some great players coming through. And I've been to one of these Checker Trade Trophy games in the past, and it's a fantastic time. And fingers crossed I can go to Burton. My wife's supposed to be going away for work that week, so I'm trying to work things out so I can at least go to the Burton game because I really don't want to miss that semi-finals.
Of course.
And just to finish off for me, I'll just say this to all those Pep haters, but it is what it is. League's a bit of a struggle now. And we might not get in the Champions League or the FA Cup, but we've got a good chance of winning the League Cup. Look back, not so far in our history. If Pep wins the League Cup this season, in his 3 seasons, he'd have won 2 League Cups and a title. And there's still people who slag off Manuel Pellegrini for doing exactly the same in 3 seasons. So I just sort of throw that out there.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's not even that. It's the fact of, one of the kids on Twitter turned around and said, so are you happy being where you are? And I said, we're 7 points off Liverpool. If we beat Liverpool, we'll be 4 points off. Yeah, with 18, 17 games to go. We're in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. We're in the FA Cup, and we're in the last 16 of the Champions League. If you gave me that at the beginning of the season, right now, I'd go, happy days.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Sterling 4 trophies.
And it doesn't matter where we came from. I'll say that.
It doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't matter. We are where we are now. I think that's important. Our outlook has changed, and it has to. Some people still want to look back at those days, and get the nostalgia. Fine, let them.
These same people, when we got beat by Liverpool in the Champions League, were the ones who were coming out going, Pep's a fraud. Oh, look, can't even beat Liverpool. Oh, and what did we do last season? It's pathetic. Yeah. So, listen, I've got to go. So I'll speak to you anyway before the Southampton game. So don't forget, guys, subscribe to the channel, click notification. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. We've got Ray.
Man City Fan TV.
And we'll see you soon, guys.